All right, ladies, we are on chapter 3, more about alcoholism, page 30 in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever regains control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. All right, we'll stop there. And just to talk on that, so a lot talking in there about the obsession of the first drink, how we think that it's going to be different this time. This time it's going to be different. In going to a lot of meetings, the one thing I love about going to meetings, and I love paying attention to it, not that because it's happened, but because it gives me that reminder every time someone comes back. The stories they tell me remind me that, they had things going really good. Everything seemed to be fine. They thought it was going to be different this time, and then they talk about this relapse. And a lot of the times I hear people who have had multiple relapses, and they come back and it says, quicker, faster, stronger, harder. Every time they've gone out, the first time maybe they were out for 2 years and they came back, and then it's 2 months, and then it's 2 weeks, and then they burn their life down in 2 days. And I pay attention to that. I myself have never relapsed since I've came into Alcoholics Anonymous, so I really pay attention to the people who have, so that I can heed those warnings. That first step in recovery, that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. Not surrender, not accept, concede. It's like a game of chess when there's just no more moves to be made. I'm conceding defeat. There's no possibility of a different alternative. I like that version better than surrendering or accepting, because if I'm surrendering or accepting, my alcoholic mind is going to say, well, maybe it's going to be different now. My life's going great. I'm no longer in a bad relationship. I'm financially secure. I've got a great job. I have no stress. Maybe that was all situational. No, maybe I'm just this way now because I have been sober and I'm living a different life. So I have to remind myself that. Dottie.
Hi, everybody. Dottie, alcoholic. More about alcoholism is it's like the love of the first step. Bill, he definitely is a writer. He uses 4 words in this page that means the exact same thing. It means believing in something not true or a lie. And the words are the obsession, the illusion, insanity, or the delusion. They all mean the exact same thing. And he just, because Bill doesn't like to repeat himself, hence why we have 6 and 7. he just doesn't like to repeat the same word over and over, so he gets creative with his writing. And you know, and I, when that was pointed out to me, I was like, wow, that just seems like so much work, because like I can't be that creative sometimes. But yeah, so it's just, the obsession, the illusion, the insanity and the delusion means all the same thing. It's a lie. And that second paragraph, I have that whole thing underlined, because it's, I have to keep it in the past now, because for me for me to truly understand the first step, I have to be in the present. I can't live in the past. And that's where, like Kim, I go to a lot of beginners meetings, because I like to hear, or I need to hear about the relapses and about the people coming in and the struggles that they had to go through, because I don't want to forget. And and that's what More About Alcoholism in this chapter teaches me about the struggles I had that I don't remember having. And when a newcomer comes in, or somebody who relapsed comes in, they remind me what it'll be like if I go back out. So I will always keep my ears open so I can keep on learning. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie. Charlene. Whoops.
Learned that we had to fully. Oh,
good. You're good.
We learned that we fully had to concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. I relapsed maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 times after I thought that I had hit my rock bottom, and thought that, I went out and I sought help. I relapsed after that because I was not ready to say I am an alcoholic. Even when was in rehab, and I was like, I don't want to say those words, because then it becomes real. And I thought I was such a good manipulator, and I've convinced everybody that I had that control. And hearing this, we know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. What a huge, something to read and think, oh my God, like, it's so true. I can recover, but I can't gain back that control of making myself understand, oh, I've got this, I'm good, I can drink normally. And then going to in some instances, there has been brief recovery followed always by a still worse relapse. I'm emphasizing the always there, but that's what my journey has shown me. I'm always going to relapse, and it's always going to be worse, and I'm going to die. But that's the end of it for me. So again, it's so great to read this and understand. And the other thing that I have to do for myself, I know, Dottie saying I have to go to beginners meetings and remember what I've been doing. Like, there's all these stages, 30, 60, 90, and then I hit 1 year and I'm like, oh, this is what's going on. This is so much more difficult. It's just a difference in the stages that I'm going through in sobriety. And what I have to do is, I've been counting again. So 410 days sober today. Where was I 410 days ago? Where was I in jail, DUI, struggling, had lost all control, had almost lost everything. And I had to, that's where I had to concede that to my innermost self, I'm an alcoholic. And that's it.
Facebook memories is another really good way to see what you were like 365 days ago. I check those in the morning. I'm like, oh man, 5 years ago? Oh, that's what I was posting? Oh, so good as a reminder for step 1. Teresa, New York.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
I'm a retired nurse, but I like the very last paragraph on page 30. We like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. Well, when you lose your legs, you can go to a prosthetic doctor and get prosthesis. And I feel like alcoholism is a disease that we never get rid of. But our prosthesis is this program. It's the 12 steps. It's the big book. It's going to the meetings. It's, carrying the message to other alcoholics. We have to continue to do that or we relapse and we lose our prosthetic legs, and then we go back out. So we can't lose the program. We got to stay connected. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bev.
Hey guys, or ladies. I'm Bev. I'm an alcoholic from Richmond, Virginia. I'm grateful to be with you all today. I have the entire first half of the page 30 highlighted in pink. It was very important to me, and I have a third edition, so I've been working at this since 1997, and I did not drink for I think it was 3 years. I was not a sober person. I did not have a sponsor. I did not work the steps. I went back out. I'm not going to say I relapsed because, like I said, I was not a sober person. I was just without alcohol. And I was out there for 5 years, and it was the most miserable 5 years of my life. I say that, but the first 2 weren't horrible, but the end was unbelievably horrid. And for me, we learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. And I looked up concede while you guys were, my phone went off. Of course it did. So the first definition of concede in the dictionary is admit that something is true or valid after first denying or resisting it. And that's exactly what we do. Denial is one of the symptoms of our disease, and it certainly is in my story. I denied. And I didn't deny that I was an alcoholic. I denied that there was anything that could be done for me. I denied that I didn't want to stop drinking, or I told myself I didn't want to stop drinking. But in the end, I wanted to stop drinking and couldn't. So I was the cucumber that had already become the pickle, and now I can't be a cucumber again. Same thing. And as far as what the last lady said, I've forgotten her name, I apologize, about the legs. Yes, we need our medicine. For me, this is my medicine. Diabetics need their insulin, cancer patients need their chemo, whatever. And for me, I am hardwired differently in my brain than those regular people that it talks about. And I have lost all control, and my brain will never re-hardwire. I will always have that allergy to this drug. So, yeah, thanks for letting me share, ladies.
Thank you so much, Bev. I always use the gym analogy too, right? Like, yeah, you can go get a membership to the gym, but you got to go to the gym. If you don't go to the gym, you're not going to get anything out of it. So I got to go to meetings just because I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And then I can add in a personal trainer, which is like my sponsor. And then I can, I can go 5 times a week, and I can add in buddies and go hiking and do lots of other things. So the more you add, the better results you're going to get. And that's the same with my recovery. Monica.
Hi friends, my name's Monica and I'm an alcoholic. I'm glad there's a big book meeting. I can't always make it because I work Monday to Friday, but I snuck in. But anyway, I love this paragraph. We learned that we had to fully concede in our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. And the delusion that we are like other people or presently may be has to be smashed. My sponsor, she pounded me in the head to the effect where the ego has to be smashed. The thinking problem, I have a thinking problem. I have a mental obsession, and I have false thoughts going on in my head, and I could believe them quite easily because that's all I knew was to believe all those thoughts that are going on in my head. I can only maybe take one, no, I can't. I need to have a mental defense against that first drink, and which is now my spirituality, and this thinking problem has been going on for quite some time and a long time, and I'm just treating it now with coming to meetings and sharing and talking. But this idea that it has to be smashed means I have to have no reservations in my in my thoughts, in my mind, in my thinking, that I can go have one like other people can. I really have to work on that on a consistent daily basis, and it's working. And I don't even think about that drink. I think more about spirituality, my higher power. I reach out to them, or I call people, and I definitely come to these meetings. I'm so thankful for this big book meeting, and thank you very much, Kimberly. It's so nice to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Joanne. Joanne, you have to hit your unmute.
There we go.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. This is one of my favorite readings of the entire big book. And so at the beginning, it's most of us. And the beginning of the first step has the word we. And for new people coming in, how do you go from an I to a we? How do you become part of this? Is the steps that we take. And so when I sponsor, I ask my sponsees to read this in the first person, because there's something about having it come from the first person makes that leap into becoming part. I'll give you an example. I have been unwilling to admit I was a real alcoholic. No person likes to think she is bodily and mentally different from her fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been categorized by countless veins of intent to prove that I could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, I will control and enjoy my drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. I learned that I had to fully concede to my innermost self that I was an alcoholic. This is first step in recovery. The delusion that I am not like other people, and presently maybe has to be smashed. To read that way, it starts to move that I to understanding that all of us experience that. We all took our moments of being unwilling, and after all the veins of attempt, alcoholism won. And so that when we finally get to the first step of recovery, we can all say that we individually have taken that step together, and now we're moving toward recovery together. And that's all I wanted to share. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I like that, reading that in the first person. That's a great idea. Raven, snuck in the nick of time.
I'm Raven. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I wanted to touch up. It's kind of funny, like how I wanted to share, and then the person that shared before me pretty much touched on it. But yeah, I wish I read the paragraph where it's like the idea that somehow, and that no real alcoholic recovers control. Like I have that whole paragraph highlighted in my big book, and I've gone out a couple of times after having a year, and then I'd relapse. I did that like 4 times, and I kind of wish I had read this over when I went back out, or before I went back out. It's that great obsession, right? Like, that's why I keep coming to meetings, and that's why I keep doing my best to all my ability to work on my alcoholism, because I don't want that obsession to come back, or have this great idea that I think I can control it. So, yeah, grateful to be here. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Raven. All right, continuing on page 31. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe that they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exception to the rule. Therefore, non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever, with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum. We do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step over to the nearest bar room and try some controlled drinking. Try to drink and stop abruptly. Try it more than once. It will not take long for you to decide if you are honest with yourself about it. It may be worth a bad case of the jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition. So yeah, we can add to that list a million ways, especially us ladies. The non-sugary drinks, switching colors of wine. I only drank on the weekends. I wouldn't buy alcohol. It would only be if it was available to me. There's so many different ways we've tried to control and enjoy. There is actually still some guys, some old time guys here in Vancouver that have bottles in their home. And so when they get to this section of the book, they'll say, try it. Try taking a shot and sitting here for the next 2 hours. See if you can handle it to a newcomer. I'm like, not happening in my house. That would not fly. But they say if you're not sure, go test it out. Go test it out and see and come back. Let us know how you make out, because if you're like myself, I could not possibly do that, right? I know one drink means 1,000. Grace. What? There you go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Grace. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, this page hit everything for me. I knew I needed help 7 years before I came in. And I know the number because one of my sisters who came into the program before me had told me she was in the program. And she didn't go into great detail, but enough that I said to her, I think I might have a problem also. And she sent me a manila envelope with all of the brochures that we have at meetings to read it. She had the whole message. I kept them in my nightstand for 7 years. And I read them periodically and decided I wasn't where they all were yet. The 44 questions. No, I didn't have all 44 yeses yet. And, this is a description of me, of this self-deception and experimentation, because I was going to prove to myself that I was not an alcoholic. My dad was, other people in the family were, but not me. I couldn't be like him. So I did the things that other people, I gave it up for Lent. I gave, all this stuff, but then I'd have way too much on Easter Sunday at my father's. And even at home, I changed the size of my glass. I changed the size of the ice cubes in the glass. Eventually, that didn't help either because I just filled the glass more. So it did nothing for me. It was just one thing after another that they described here. Trying never to drink before 5 o'clock, because then I thought that's what social drinkers always did. They had cocktails. So if I didn't drink before 5, but I eventually weekends were an exception to that rule. I made up this story that you could start at noontime on a weekend. All this crazy stuff. Until it was just obvious to me that there was just absolutely nothing that I can do. And my last drunk was something that I had so earnestly tried to arrange and control. And I made all kinds of accommodations of how I was going to this person's house for this birthday party and not drinking. And again, it was absolutely impossible when I saw the alcohol come out, when they started to offer it to other people. And oh, well, yeah, I'll have a few. And I overstayed my welcome, and I was drunk coming home, and I had to get the kids into the house. My husband had taken them in the house before me because I didn't want them to see how drunk I was. It was in January when I hit the cold weather. I just froze. Everything was stiff inside and out. And so I knew that day that was it. That was the time that this page, I had pretty much tried everything on this page and it didn't work. And that's when I called Alcoholics Anonymous. 7 years after I first thought it was possible, you know. And by the grace of staying in this program and having wonderful, supportive women, you know, um, 35 years ago I came in this program and I haven't relapsed. And it's just a day at a time. That's all it is. You can celebrate anniversary birthdays on that day, but the next day it's day one again, and you just keep working at it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. Janet.
Oh, hi, I'm Janet. I'm an alcoholic. And baby.
Hi, baby Nippin.
So I always like this part of the book because this was something that really applied to me. Like I had multiple years, and then, at around 10 years, I started to feel like I was okay, right? That I could handle this, that I could do this. And, it started off with the pain medication at the hospital and stuff like that. And then eventually I took a drink, and I remember specifically trying to drink one drink and trying to control and enjoy that drink. And it was like killing me inside because everybody else at the table was like pounding back their drinks. Little did I know they were doing coke in the bathroom too. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, these people are normal drinkers, right? So why can't I pound back my stuff like them? Yes, very exciting. And so it's like I got jealous, right? I got jealous and I got resentful, and then I was resentful to like the other fellowship because I was like, they're telling me that I can't do this and they're telling me that I can't do that, and how come some people can come to this fellowship but then still go drink, right? I'm like, that doesn't, and so like that pissed me off too because I was like, well, you're not clean if you're drinking, right? And I mean, that's the view I have today, but I was saying it with disdain, and I was saying it with resentment, and I was angry at those people that I knew in the other fellowship that were able to drink now and not have any consequences, so seemingly not have any consequences, right? A lot of my friends have been able to drink successfully, if you want to say so, like they still have their house, their cars, their marriage, blah, 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 right? But it's like they're dead inside, right? Their spark for life is gone, and they're just like, wow, and they're just trudging along. And for some reason, that seemed really desirable to me because I just wanted to be able to drink. And unfortunately, I am. I'm a real alcoholic, and I can't drink. And you know what? I love that to this day because with all this stuff going on in the world right now, like I have a community that I can reach out to. I have a community that 100% understands my brain and my crazy thoughts and everything. And I'm just really grateful for this program, and I'm really grateful that I was able to get on for a minute because my life is crazy. But thank you so much for letting me share.
Thanks, Janet. Gosh, I miss the babies in meetings. Leslie.
Hi, Leslie, alcoholic. With me, all of this applies. The one that really hit me just now was the only natural wines. I live on an acreage. I've got fruit trees. I started making my own cherry wine. I made the best cherry wine ever. Beer drinkers, devout beer drinkers, started drinking my wine. And it was great, but it was absolutely terrible because I could drink anything, and it never bothered me. And getting up in the morning at 7 o'clock, going out digging potatoes at 8, and figuring, the sweat pouring down me, I owe myself a beer. And that started every day off, and it never ever end. It was years and years of abusing my body, and just thinking that I owed it to myself because I was working so hard. And it didn't matter what it was. De-alkalized wine. Yeah, throw some vodka in that de-alkalized wine. It just doesn't matter. It's just trying to just absolutely stay away from all of it is where I'm at now. And also, on a health kick too, low carb diet. So, you can't even have that fake beer. Yeah. And then the physical exercise, it was almost like you had to do penance when I overindulged, because I felt guilty for getting overloaded, and swearing off the liquor. The only thing that helped me, I'd go like a month maybe without drinking, or 2 weeks without drinking, but the only thing that has helped me in the last year and a half is admitting that I was an alcoholic and getting to meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Yeah, even when I quit drinking, I was in a health business, and they would say, oh, well, this is organic wine. I'm like, I didn't quit because I wanted to be healthy. I quit because I can't drink. Dottie.
Hi, everybody. Dottie, alcoholic. So, all these methods, this alcoholic tried it, but it wasn't because I thought I had a problem with drinking. It was just costing too damn much. And I was like, where the heck's all my money going? It was just, so I would go with cheaper alcohol, or I would go with this and that. But, I think what made me chuckle about that, because it definitely talks about my obsession for the alcohol. And it's that this paragraph alone shows my powerlessness over the alcohol. But, I had to chuckle about some of the things in our chat, as the people were talking about giving it up for Lent. Well, I was taught, I'm not Catholic, but I still, we used to give things up for Lent, and it was bad things. So, I would give up chocolate or bread, but I would never give up alcohol because it wasn't a bad thing in this alcoholic's mind. So it's just, again, it was just the obsession that I had for alcohol. I couldn't see that I was drinking so much that it was putting me in the poorhouse. And so I would go cheaper so I could have more. And that's just where I became totally powerless over all of this, because I didn't dare waste my time reading books or anything to stop me from drinking, because this alcoholic didn't know she had a problem with alcohol until after she was in recovery. So, yeah, that's all I have about that and my powerlessness.
Thank you, Dottie. Bev.
How are you? Bev, alcoholic. So all these things that we tried try as we might, but still couldn't stop. I only recall trying 3 times any of these things. Once I tried a geographical cure and went to Florida where I didn't know anybody, but I really did, and it made it worse. And once I tried beer instead of liquor, and once I went to wine. But like Dottie said, I wasn't sure that alcohol was my problem at that point. And it wasn't really 100% because I wanted to stop drinking for those times I tried that. I will say that in the middle of page 31 where it says drink like a gentleman, I never drank like a lady. Never. Not even once. And it says long enough to drink like other people. I did drink like other people because I hung around the people that drank like me, so I could drink like other people. I didn't want to hang around the people that didn't drink. And at the very end of my drinking, my now husband, when we first met, I had just started drinking again from the time before, and he didn't really have a full grasp on my alcoholism. And he thought that I had put him off for 2 months before I would go out with him. And he thought that whining and dining me and joining clubs and this and that would win me over. Well, little did he know, and soon he realized that I was full-blown alcoholic, and he just quit drinking because he's not one of us, and he didn't have a problem. And he would carry me around to bars, but he would only allow me 2 drinks when we went to the bars. So I had to make sure there was one particular bar that we went to a lot after work. And so I would either drink at work before we went, or I'd make sure I had plenty at home to drink after we got home, because there was no way I was going to go anywhere and only have 2 drinks. So I knew full well that that was not going to work. But he would sit there with me, and he would have his iced tea, and I would have my 2 drinks, and then we'd go home, and then I'd finish off a bottle. I was the type of girl that if I took the bottle top off, I was usually going to finish it. I was going to finish it or black out. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bev. Yeah, I never had a bottle in my house. It was empty. Those people with full liquor cabinets, I was like, what? How does that happen? And if I was at a bar and only allowed 2, I'd have a side bartender somewhere on the way to the bathroom, and I'd have a hidden drink somewhere on that way, or pass me a drink in the bathroom, and I'll be like going to the bathroom every 10 minutes. Kelly B.
Hi, everybody. Kelly Alcoholic. One thing I just wanted to mention is how it says, prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. That was kind of myself, because I grew up with an alcoholic mother till the age of 12. And there was no way that I was going to become my mother because of the destruction in my life and the separation of family and just the whole bit of everything, and leaving home at an extremely early age because of all that my alcoholic mother, I thought, caused. So there was no way that I could become my mother an alcoholic. And I did. Surprisingly, I did. Today, I'm very happy that I did, because the life I lead now is truly incredible. And another part I'd like to put out here is how it says that nobody is to pronounce me an alcoholic, like an individual. I have to decide for myself whether I am, because I think that's very important, that I have to decide for myself that I am alcoholic. And another part where it says, as long as, if you are truly honest with yourself about it. And I had to be truly honest, and I had to get real and realize, but yeah, that's one part that I really liked. And with that, I'll pass.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, that's a good point, too, because a lot of us, when we get here, have already been told a million times by other people that we're alcoholic, but we don't believe them. So we do have to come to that conclusion ourselves. Yvonne?
Oh, hi, I'm Yvonne. I'm an alcoholic. I was listening to a lot of this, and looking back on my life, I mean, I was born into it and raised with it and all of that, married it, gave birth to alcoholics, the whole bit. But when I finally had enough, nobody ever told me I had a problem. Nobody ever said, Mom, you need to quit drinking, or Yvonne, you need to quit. It was all fun and games. We used to drink with my kids. And I graduated from wine, which was, fancy. It was okay if you drank wine. Beer, which I didn't even like. To the 3 buddies, Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, and Jesse James. And the whiskey, it was quicker. So that's what we stuck with most of the time. But there wasn't any reason to drink. It didn't matter. I was involved in hit and run. Oh, yeah, well, here, have a drink. It'll settle you down. Or you're sick, have a drink. Or this, whatever. But I tried the different things, too. And then for a long time, it was like, well, am I really an alcoholic? And it took me a long time to concede to that, even though, I was raised with it. I knew the chaos of it. When I stopped, there was still alcohol in my house. My husband, and who I don't live with at the moment, and my youngest daughter, they were still drinking heavily, I got to where I wouldn't touch the glasses or the bottles or the anything. I just wouldn't. I couldn't take that chance because it would be so easy to pick up a shot glass to wash it, and there might have been a little bit in the bottom of it. But the other thing, to drink like a normal person, I guess why would you drink if you're not going to get drunk, a half a drink or whatever. So, I'm glad that I finally, I got into the rooms. I am an alcoholic, no doubt, and I am gratefully sober today. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Yvonne. Last one on this page, Megan. Hang on, there we go.
Hi, everybody. Megan, alcoholic. We're great shares. They'll try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. And this concludes with the bottom of the page is where you can't pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can only diagnose yourself. And it's like no matter the more people told me that I had a problem, the more I drank at them, and the more I tried to prove them wrong. But at the same time, this is where my craziness comes in. I would brag about being an alcoholic and brag about, hey, yeah, or I'm a hard drinker and a professional drinker. Alcoholics go to meetings and say stupid things like that. And, it's funny, Kim, you brought up, the Facebook posts and the memories. And there was one recently from 10 years ago. So I'm 30. So this is from 10 years ago from when I was 20. And it said, my New Year's resolution is going to be to stop drinking. So I knew 10 years ago that there was something up with my drinking. And, and this is before I tried all the methods and, agreeing to resign if I ever got drunk on the job. I didn't resign after I got drunk on the job. Never drinking during business hours, swearing off it forever. I can't even tell you how many times I said I'm not going to drink again. And I still could not figure out why I kept drinking. And it's just so many, that's why when I read this, I'm like, holy crap, this is so me. And I've never drank like a lady, ever. Maybe when I was really, this is before, that's why I love that whole pickle, thing, because it's first of all, it relates to food, so I can understand anything that relates to food. And it was, once I crossed that line, I could never drink normal again. So this, just literally, it stood out to me so much. And then I finally, my last drunk, I was like, I cannot stop drinking about this. I cannot stop thinking about this next drink that I'm going to take. I can't even enjoy drunk that I have right now because I cannot stop thinking about the next one I'm going to take. And that's when it was one of those rude awakenings. So thank you so much for letting me share.
Thank you, Megan. All right, we're going to move on. So page 32. Though there is no way of proving it, we believe that early in our drinking careers, most of us could have stopped drinking. But the difficulty is that few alcoholics have enough desire to stop while there is yet time. We have heard of a few instances where people who showed definite signs of alcoholism were able to stop for a long period because of an overpowering desire to do so. Here is one. A man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. He was very nervous in the morning after these bouts and quieted himself with more liquor. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all. Once he started, he had no control whatever. He made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. An exceptional man, he remained bone dry for 25 years and retired at the age of 55, after a successful and happy business career. He then felt victim to a belief which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink as other men. Out came his carpet slippers and a bottle. In 2 months he was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital meantime. Then, gathering all his forces, He attempted to stop altogether and found he could not. Every means of solving his problem which money could buy was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years. This case contains a powerful lesson. Most of us have believed that if we remained sober for a long stretch, we could thereafter drink normally. But here is a man who at 55 years found he was just where he had left off at 30. We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time as bad as ever. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. So for me, two things. One is that man of 30 who quit drinking, and how they said, sometimes there's that point where we can stop. For me, from my understanding, that's before you've developed that phenomenon of craving. Once you've developed that phenomenon of craving, you have turned into a pickle and you cannot go back. So possibly this man of 30 had not crossed that threshold yet. It does say that he had this successful and happy business career, but my mind wonders if he just became a workaholic and got into this work as his mission, and he sought success, and that was his replacement for drinking. Because as soon as that was over, he picked up the bottle again. A big point that I have in my book that is highlighted, underlined, and starred, and there's a big word that says stop, is that last line I read. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. So when I'm working with someone and we are reading this book together, I stop at that line and we pause. And I say to my prospect or whomever I'm working with, do you have any reservations or lurking notions? Your homework at this point is to go home and sit in meditation and think of that. And I want you to write down any reservations or lurking notions you have, because I personally will not continue past this line if someone still has lurking notions or reservations. If they think, oh, maybe it'll be different if I get a different job, or if my partner does this, or if that, I personally, when reading with a newcomer or someone that's come back, I don't go past that line until I'm certain they have no lurking notions or reservations. And if they do, we discuss it. We might reread what we've already read, but I won't continue because I know from experience that this program will not work from that line on if there are any lurking notions or reservations. So we're going to open it up for discussion, and that is where we're going to lead off. And if you are new and you're doing this as your first set of steps, or if you're doing this as a set of steps, I encourage you today to meditate on that line before we come back on Wednesday, and make sure that you have no lurking notions or reservations. And if you do, please put it in the Facebook group or contact your sponsor or someone else in this group to talk through it. All right, let's open it up. Valerie,
alcoholic. Hi, you guys. I'm so grateful I chimed in, was able to today. The ism and talking about, how we're desperate, going from desperation to inspiration. That was my experience. How no human power could restore me to sanity was my case. Some of us, we go from either jails, institutions, and some of us even experience, death. And I never want to forget where I came from. I have unfortunately relapsed in the past. I came in at 20 and then got sober later on. I have 17 and a half years now, and they say that you leave off right where you when you left it. If you pick up, you end up picking up right where you left off, and that is not that doesn't sound like a good option for me today. I don't want to have a reservation. I have a sponsor who always says this to me. She goes, have you ever thought about a reservation going to a hotel? Well, don't romance it too long, because it's kind of like the drink. If you keep thinking that, a drink sounds good and you think about the bottle, how it's like, glistening or whatever, don't keep that thought in your head for too long. You just got to let it go immediately the second that it comes into your mind so that you can, focus on the miracle. I love that saying, don't leave before the miracle. I don't want to forget that, this program has given me a life. This program has given me an opportunity to grow. When I've been in my disease, it really wasn't that. So with that, the key for me is just I don't want to have a lurking notion. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful day today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I'm an alcoholic from Northern Virginia. I really liked what we read. As soon as I started reading the big books and taking my program seriously, I saw that again and again, the things that I needed to hear and the things that I needed to learn about myself were all in this book. And the things, we hear some of our stories, they're all familiar. And the things that I didn't experience myself, I saw with others that were coming into the meetings. So, for the man that had a successful business and then went back to drinking, that just tells me, it just reiterates to me that my disease is waiting for me. Once I start thinking that way, I know that, alcohol is a symptom and my thinking is the problem. And as soon as those thoughts enter my head, that I think that I could, have a couple drinks, I know I'm wrong. I know that that's not possible. I've tried that many times. And, it has interrupted my life and interfered with my goals and interfered with my potential of being a better mother and a better wife and a better friend, a better relative, a better daughter. And, the thing is I don't have to go out and drink again, because this tells me that if I do, I'm going right back to where I left off. And I'm sorry, but that doesn't sound attractive. There's no way in the world that I want to go back to drinking and driving, throwing up in a cup and crapping myself while driving. That's not attractive. It's not attractive. And that's who I am. That's where I go. I shut down bars and I go to after parties and I make a jackass of myself. And it's not a good idea. I know that if my thinking is starting to steer that way, that I need to go to a meeting. And, I go to the meeting because I need to, I need to have that fellowship, and I need to feed my, my spiritual malady in order to keep my sobriety. So I enjoyed that reading a lot. And one of my favorite things about the big book is that I don't have to, my bottom doesn't have to be the same as everybody else's. You know what I mean? I can learn from people's experiences if I'm smart, if I continue to go to meetings, if I continue to have a good relationship with my higher power and an amazing support group of fellowship. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Monica.
Hi, friends again. I'm an alcoholic. I wish I would have got into this big book like long ago, but I mean, like, today's the day now. I see so much more in this big book than I used to, and I spoke about it earlier. Not having any reservations whatsoever. I've always had reservations inside of me. I've always had these little lies saying, "Oh yeah, you can do this. You can have a drink." Like one is not going to work, but it's or hurt. And it's that first drink that gets me that gets me. It's not the 10th drink, it's not the 20th, it's the first one, and yeah, and I will never ever be immune to alcohol. I never knew what lurking notion meant, and I kind of looked up the word, and it says to lie and wait in concealment, and I don't have any lurking notions today. I just accept this program is really, really giving me a lot, and to study the book, I'm really glad that I'm able to study it because there's so many answers in there. All the answers are in this book. I always heard that, and I never really looked in the book. I've studied it with a few groups, but I mean, like, it's not my go-to, and I need to make it my go-to. And I've struggled. I've gone back out drinking, and I've relapsed. And I just celebrated 7 years last Tuesday, and I'm really glad that and it's one day at a time, and it's a lot of hard work, but the hard work is paying off, and believing, in that higher power for myself. And anyway, thank you very much. I just want to bring that to that lurking notion, that we have to get rid of all those thoughts and ideas that we can maybe just have one like normal people. And I can't do that no more. I can't play with fire anymore like I used to. I used to play with that every day, and I cannot do that. It's not worth my time no more. Thank you.
Right. And a question was asked privately in the chat about those lurking notions. So the lurking notions is something that keeps coming up. That, I think if I have a new job, it's going to be okay. A new job, it's going to be okay. If I leave this man, or if this man changes, it's going to be okay, which is a difference than a thought. So like once in a while, even at my sobriety, I'll have a thought. I had a sponsee pass away. I was walking my dog and I passed a pub and I thought I could have a Caesar and I would feel better. That was a thought, and my program kicked in. My defense against the first drink, which is God, kicked in, and it was gone. That's not a lurking notion. That was just a thought that came into my head in a low spot. But I have the defense against those low spots because of this program. Whereas a lurking notion is, well, my life's really good right now, and I keep thinking that thought. That's a lurking notion, is the repeated thought popping up. I hope that helps explain that a bit. And then a reservation would be like a complete, well, I still think I'm different. I'm not like you people. Megan.
Hi, everybody. Megan, alcoholic. And this always like stood out to me, because in the beginning, that's what I kept doing. I had a reservation and I kept thinking like, oh, I'm different. And I kept going out. And once that finally stopped, that's when I actually stayed. And I haven't had a drink since. And it says this contains a powerful lesson. Most of us have believed that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we would thereafter drink normally. I have that highlighted, and in big, huge letters on the side of that, I have lies. That's the lies that I keep telling myself. And then once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, commencing to drink after a long period of sobriety, short-term bad as ever, and worse. Because my fear with the way I drank, and not only that, but this is a man, right? And women progress and they die faster than men. So this guy was dead within 4 years. If you take a women's body and do that, most likely it'll be cut in half, and that'll be 2. And second of all, my biggest fear is that if I go out again, not only will I pick up from where I left off, but I'll try to make up for lost time. That's my biggest fear. So I feel like I'd be gone much quicker than 4 years, because it's like with the way I drank and me trying to make up for lost time, I really would be dead in a very short period of time. And to drink is to die, and I have to keep remembering that. If that's really how serious it is life or death. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Megan. Pam G. Whoops, there we go.
Hi, my name's Pam. I'm an alcoholic from Florida. The first time that I stopped drinking, I did not stop drinking. I had a lurking notion because I stopped drinking for the first reason was because my daughter started drinking. And then in the back of my head, which I just remember now, was a thought that maybe when I was 65, I would be able to start drinking. And I also, now that I think back, I was in denial of alcoholism. So when I did stop drinking for those reasons the first time, I did not go to AA, and even that's me being in denial of being an alcoholic. I went to a doctor, I got prescriptions, and I took medications for about 8 years. And at that time, 8 years, I took a drink without any forethought, which lasted 3 years. And now I'm in AA, and I have zero lurking notions that I will ever be able to drink one day. So I'm just happy to be here, and thank you for sharing, and thank you all for sharing. And I've never been through the big book. I've got 5 years of sobriety. It's been a difficult process to try to really get to get my sponsor to help me go through the big book. She likes the 12 and 12. But anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're going through the big book. The 12 and 12 is great and all, but the solution is in the big book and all these things that are going to come out at you. And the more you read it, the more you get from it. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. All right, we don't have any more hands up. Let me just take a quick look through if anybody wants to talk on what we've read. Wave at me, shake yourself. Janice, I see you.
Hi, I'm Janice. I'm an alcoholic. Hi, ladies. Hope everybody had a nice Mother's Day. I'm surprised I figure somebody would have brought it up, but you know how they say there's no musts in AA? This is the ninth must, but on page 33, that last sentence that you were reading, that's the first must that's in the numbered pages. There are actually 57 musts in the big book, and I have them all on a little bookmark that I've had forever that's fallen apart, if anybody's ever interested. Anyway, there's your first must on page 33.
Yes, so it doesn't sound like a suggestion if it says you must. Just saying. Marianne got her hand up. Marianne.
Hi, friends. I am an alcoholic. My name's Marianne. Great to be here. And this whole chapter just reminds me I'm really in the right room today. Really in the right room. I have the man of 30 paragraph. I have written down here cunning, baffling, and patient. And that's what my illness is. And that the progression occurs even once I stop drinking. I was in Alcoholics Anonymous, thinking I was working a program for 19 years and still went out. So the person who took me through this big book said, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. She had it. You only have a daily reprieve. That you have to do this every day because this illness is so cunning, baffling, and patient. It'll attack you if you're not doing this on a daily basis, all of these steps. So, and then she also had me highlight the lurking notion sentence. And I have beside it, smash this home, because if you don't get it now, nothing that you do in the future with this program in this book is going to help you. So, I'm just so glad I'm here because I just know that I'm in the right room. Thank you.
Thanks, Marianne. All right, I'll do one more quick scan if anybody's going to wave at me that they want to speak on this page. I don't see anyone. All right, so like Marianne said, we are going to smash this home. So your homework tonight is to sit and meditate on those lurking notions and reservations. If you think you have any or you have any questions, please reach out to your sponsor or your temporary sponsor. Please reach out to any of us if you're connected with us, or use that Facebook page, because it's very, very important that we move on past this point. And if you have those lurking notions and reservations, we need to smash them before we continue, because experience tells us if you have them, they're going to grow and they're going to take you out. So that is it for today. Let's